Welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm your co-host with my other co-host, who is Sandra Driska Russo, who is going to be our next mayor of Middletown come Tuesday night at 8:01.
Here, here. Here, here.
And to our right, we have Jonathan Polino, who is running for Common Council.
Hi, Billy.
Christopher Patter, who is running for Board of Education.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Good. Wow, you came off good. That was good.
Yeah,
So,
a cordless mic tonight.
not bad. So, tell us why you're both running. Jonathan, start with you and then we'll work.
Want me to start?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Jonathan Polino, and I am a citizen of Middletown. I've been here all my life, with the exception of college, and I am currently a school teacher.
Yes.
I teach at Maloney High School. I've been there for 12 years. And prior to that, I taught at DeBritt High School. So I have real-life experience with students, with staff, with a lot of shareholders in the communities. But if I am elected to Common Council, and I really believe I will be, I really want to reach out to you when you were elected to the Board of Education and find out, lots of transparency.
Yeah.
So I would like to really, see what's going on with the budgets and work together. Both departments working together. Parts of government, so. Would you work with me?
I would.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Good to see you. All right. My name is Chris Petter. I'm running for the Board of Ed. I'm an attorney here in town. I work in McHugh Chapman and Vargas. Part of the niche part of my job is helping students that are bullied. And that means that all the kids being bullied and that are having trouble at school come to me after they're bullied. So I decided to run for Board of Ed because I want to start changing that so we get to it before they're bullied or right at the beginning before it gets bad. So if I make it on the Board of Ed, hopefully, I want to institute new policies because we see at the schools, right now the schools don't communicate between each other. What they're doing is kid gets bullied in K through 5, school takes care of it. They move to 6, school doesn't tell the 6th grade school, Keigwin, that the kid was getting bullied, so kid gets bullied again in 6th grade. Kid then goes to 7th grade. They don't know that they're getting bullied. Kid then goes to high school. They don't know about the past. So we need to, along with transparency, we need to have a transparency of the record while you're going through the school. And, that's what I'm hoping to accomplish.
Sandra.
I love that because we have not had any of that in the last especially several years. So, Jonathan,
Yes.
talk about a few other issues besides Board of Education, because
Absolutely.
Common Council, and
Right.
one of our jobs is to
Well-
work with the board and pass that budget, but talk about
A
some
big-
other accomplishments.
Yeah, absolutely. A big issue that I think about all the time is expanding the grand list. I drive a lot, because we all do, and I drive around town and I think, wow, wouldn't it be great if we had a restaurant here? Wouldn't it be great if we had a boutique here? Wouldn't it be great if we had a big box store here? And you use your imagination a lot, and it would be really great to really attract new mom and pop type of businesses, even bigger stores too. But we need to make it a fiscally conservative, way to bring these people here. What can we offer these businesses to come to Middletown? And how can we improve on that? Let's study that. Let's talk about it. Let's ask the people.
Well, to play off that and, going with the Board of Ed, the way you get stores and restaurants there is you get people in the town.
Right.
The way you get people in the town is to improve the reputation of the schools.
Absolutely.
So it's not, we're all sitting here running for our individual positions, but it's not, okay, I'm going to be on the Board of Ed and that's all I care about. You look at like redistricting going on right now, and what's going to happen there is if they do the redistricting that they want to, house values are going to drop. House values drop, people leave.
That's right.
People leave, no stores are coming into the town. So we have to work together to, make this all fit.
I agree.
Absolutely. Talk a little about the redistricting. It's a very hot issue right now in Middletown, along with the Parks referendum, which we can get into later.
Yes.
I think that these are literally the two hottest issues in town that are being discussed.
I agree.
That are contentious because there's, people that have very strong, passionate feelings. Why don't you tell, because you've been very passionate about this issue yourself, the viewers a little bit about the redistricting and what's happening?
Okay, well, the main thing is Farm Hill is overcrowded. So Board of Ed, and Cheryl can talk about this later, votes to allow research into how to fix that problem. And the racial imbalance we're getting close to at McDonough and at Moody. So instead, that vote happens in March. In July, all of a sudden, they're putting together a redistricting committee to redistrict based on socioeconomic factors in the school system. Except for it's not socioeconomic factors in the school system because all they're looking at is free and reduced lunch. And if you look at any educational statistic authority, such as the National Center for Educational Statistics, run by the government, they explicitly say don't use free or reduced
Right.
lunch as a determining factor of socioeconomic. So they've ignored, all the people that know what they're talking about, and they're trying to redistrict based on just solely this free or reduced lunch. And of course, that means disrupting at least 20% of the school kids. So at the very least, we're disrupting 400 families.
It's funny that what happened in Middletown was a big issue in Meredith. I mean, everybody watches. Teachers watch, they pay attention.
Yes.
And I talked to someone about this issue today with my dad. I just walked in, actually. And we were talking about redistricting. If you don't need it, and you said this very elegantly at the forum tonight, why are you doing it? And you know what? I'm sure I may get in trouble for saying this, but usually it's somebody at central office who's pushing their own agenda. And you know what? Sorry, it's not acceptable.
Right.
You know what? If it's good for the kids, we get it. But I walked into the forum the other night at Middletown High School. Not one person was for redistricting. Not one person. That was very scary. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knew.
I think-
Everybody was on the same page. I've never seen that in my life.
And I have to say, I thought the interesting part about that was that a few days after that forum, where nobody was in favor of redistricting, our mayor finally took on the Republican view, which we have had from the very start of this whole issue, which was slow down,
Right.
stop where you are, and let's go back and reevaluate the issue of Farm Hill being overcrowded, and let's pick it up what the real issues are, rather than pushing what people are perceiving as the administrative agenda of all the socioeconomic balancing, et
Right.
cetera. So
But-
speak to that a little bit.
But did he actually take that position? He
Well,
kind of took a position
yeah.
without taking a position. If you read the Facebook post, what he actually
Right.
says is, let's slow down and listen to the parents. The problem is, we already know what the parents
That's
are saying.
exactly
We
right.
don't need to listen to the parents more and get their
Great
opinion.
point, great point.
There's over 700 signatures right now on a petition that tells you the parents' position.
That was the first presenter that had
Yeah.
the
Right.
And
Oh,
let's be honest,
true.
it's the 700 votes times
Oh, yeah.
2 at least that he's concerned with, and that's
Yeah.
why he took the position he
Of course
did.
he did.
Yeah.
But I think you said it on the last show, and we talked about it before, and a lot of people have mentioned this. A good solution would be the farm. My kids go to Farm Hill.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I have 2 children at Farm Hill School. Maybe we could send a letter out and say, is there anybody willing
Yes.
Yeah.
to leave?
Every option first.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Every option.
Because you never know. There may be an aunt that lives close to the Veal Field or Lawrence or whatever. But the point is, that was never, asked to the shareholders.
Well, we have the STEM program at McDonough
Right.
now.
Yeah,
which is a
and,
great program.
Yes. One of the things that I was told was that step 1 of the STEM was to bring STEM to McDonough. But step 2 was then we promised to do some redistricting. And I'm not sure who cut that deal or why they cut that deal, but I don't understand why one would have to go hand in hand with the other. And because we have STEM at McDonough, there may be parents that are now
Absolutely.
willing to say, you know what, I'm going to take my child from this school and go to McDonough because of the STEM program.
Right.
And we haven't even tried those options.
Well, look at Deb Koklowski.
Yes.
Her son is in the STEM program, and
Exactly.
she
Right.
did transfer schools.
Exactly.
And she
exactly.
did what's best for both of her children.
Yes.
And they're
Right.
twins, but each child is different.
That's right.
And just want to let everybody know we have 2 minutes left in the
Okay.
segment, and then we're going to be switching people up. But I also want to remind people out here who are voting for Board of Ed that their candidates were all for redistricting.
Yes.
Yes.
And, they've walked that back also. So I want to remind people out there who are looking to vote for people on Tuesday, that our candidates right from the start have been against redistricting. They're only against it since they noticed that the winds were blowing a certain way.
said
The
that
parents were
tonight.
all against it. So I want to remind people that our candidates have been against it from the beginning. They're now against it, but you know why that is. So anything to finish up, Mr. Petter?
Yeah, redistricting is probably going to decide this election. The sad part is there's a lot of problems facing our schools, and it's a lot about communication. Communication with the parents, communication with the teachers, communication between the schools. And so whoever gets elected, and hopefully it's me, hopefully it's Cheryl and Troy who are also here, we need to work on making sure everybody works as a unit and not individually.
I agree. Mr. Polino?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, we would appreciate, your vote on Tuesday. We have a great slate. We have some great people. I will be honest with you. I think I've run on 4 campaigns. This is the most enthusiastic campaign I've ever been on. Everybody's working together, and all of us have one goal, And the goal is to make Middletown a better place. And that sounds like it's a cliche. Every single person is here for a reason. We want to make Middletown a better place, and we want to work with you, the voter. We have live phones tonight. Call us with a solution. If you have an idea, I'm willing to listen to any idea. That's why we're doing this. So.
All right, and just to remind people of the phone number real quick, 860-613-3031. Again, 860-613-3031. We will be taking calls all night till 9 o'clock. Give us a call. If you have any questions or comments for any of us, please call in. We're going to take a quick short minute break, and when we come back, Cheryl McClellan and Ken McClellan will be coming up. And thank you very much, Mr. Petter and Mr. Polino.
And I've noticed that there's a change that's occurred in the last several years. We're having many more large and damaging fires. Sometimes thousands of fires will occur. If the climate changes and we don't have the water we need, California could dry up and blow away.
I've lived in Delhi all my life, and I have seen the weather change. The monsoon this year has been more erratic than I can ever remember. We've had, I think, highest temperature in the last 50 years. Growing up, you'd wait for what we call an andhi, a squall. This year, there's not a drop. Some estimates say 2017 Delhi, 15 million people are going to be without water.
And again, here we are. And for those people who want to give a call in, 860-613-3031. So if you want to give a call, and we're on channel 99 on Frontier, Middletown Public Access, and we're also on channel 15 on Comcast. And to my left, of course, is the next mayor of Middletown, Sandra Russo. I'm bad with you. My brain's been off tonight. To my right is Cheryl McClellan. She's a current member of the Board of Education, and her husband, who is running for Planning and Zoning, who he was on Planning and Zoning before, is Ken McClellan. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Cheryl McClellan. I'm a current member of the Board of Education. We've lived in town here for 23 years now. And I would like to return to the Board of Education. The two big subjects that we're talking about tonight really are redistricting. I don't think we should be redistricting. We need to really kind of look at what parents need, go beyond what the overcrowding at Farm Hill is, and look at more utilization of our schools and come up with at least a 5-year program. We need to have some kind of a strategic program, within our schools. So that I'd like to work on. I'd like to work on, we're supposed to have more transparency. We all like to say transparency, but does it happen? 4 years ago, we ran for that, and it really didn't happen. And so now the city said they've bought us new software, which will give us a much better way to look at the budget. Because if you look at it now, you see big object codes, and it says purchase services. Well, what does that mean? So if you're a taxpayer and you want to see where the board is spending their money, you can't see that right now. This new software is supposed to break it out so you can see, okay, under purchase services, what did we purchase? What are we buying? Where is the money going? So that's really what we want to really kind of push through and make it better so you can see where the money's being spent.
And that's something that is definitely lacking. And this new software, this didn't happen. Ken, so tell us why you're running for Planning and Zoning.
I had a good time on Planning and Zoning when I was on there a few years ago. And what I was working towards, and we never got to finish, although the Republican members of the Planning and Zoning Commission worked very hard on trying to get a long-range plan. And not 2 or 5 years. That's not long range when we're talking about a city. Long range is 20, 25 years.
Yes.
Where do we want the city to be in 25 years? What kind of population? What kind of mix of business and residents? High-density housing and subdivisions. We need to think about where we want to be in 25 years so that next year and the year after we can start working towards that. And part of that is, well, the big thing is a riverfront right now. And part of that 25-year plan, where do we want to be, is well, we've got this really nice chunk of land down on the riverfront that we could do all kinds of things with. I mean, we could do an Atlantic City boardwalk, we could do a beach, we could do a boat marina, we could do apartments, yeah, I don't know. But first, we need to think about what we want it to look like. And one of the other things I've seen is we're trying to do things in big chunks, do everything all at once. We need to look at things that we can do in stages.
Right.
For one thing, if you go in there with a boardwalk and boat marina and apartments, and nobody's using the boat marina, and the apartments aren't selling, what do you got? Nothing. So let's look at it, what can we do in stages to maybe start off, draw interest to the area, and build it? For example, we could start very easily with a boat marina. Widen the creek out a little bit, put in some docks out of the current, so that, or the boat launch. Make sure we have a parking lot big enough for some usage, and take a look at how it's being used. If we get a lot of people in there, maybe that should be the focus. If we're not getting a lot of people in there, don't put a lot of money into building the boat arena.
Right.
But some thinking ahead and planning and logical stuff.
One of the things that I've thought, and this is why I'm running for planning and zoning, is that we need a master plan for this. And they wanted to do this overlay plan, a float-in zone, as they called it. And to me, it was like, oh my God. I said, you just want to get a shovel in the ground. That's how I felt. They just wanted to get a shovel in the ground before the election to make somebody look good. And to me, that wasn't the way to go. We have to do something. This is not just going to affect 25 years, but this is going to affect the next 100 years. What we do with our waterfront and how we connect it to the downtown and make the two integral with each other. We have to do this right. We get one chance at this, and there's not going to be a second chance. We have to do this correct. And if we don't do it correct, you know what could happen.
Well, I think the one thing they both touched on in completely separate areas is that there's no planning
No.
with this administration. We've had 4 years of no real comprehensive planning. It's reaction to everything. And to your point, because it was reactive, yes, we had the people for public spaces give us a plan. That's public space. I want to know about taxable space. I
Yes.
want to know how we're going to build that riverfront up and build that tax base for our taxpayers.
Yeah.
So the council, after economic development, which I'm on, we passed a allocation for a master development plan for the river. It passed unanimously through the Common Council. It was supposed to go to RFP. We again approved it at economic development, and now it's sitting stalled
Yeah.
because our mayor held it up. He then came forward with his own master
Yes.
development plan that we shut down. So because it's an election year, unfortunately, things have gotten kind of snarled in the weeds. We'll get through all of that, hopefully after the election, and do it right. But I found it interesting because you both touched on the same point. No planning
Right.
in our future for Middletown. It's
Right.
just, what do we need right now?
Yes.
I think part of that is, all our years in the Army.
Yeah.
And, if you're going to be successful a leader, as we both were, I think, you need to plan. And so that's the first thing we seem to go to. That is, we both
Absolutely.
agree. And another thing I'd like to add a layer to that, when we do plan, we tend to plan where the council plans, or the board plans, or planning and zoning, and it's never a holistic look.
Comprehensive.
So when the Board of Ed looks at maybe placing a school, do they ever check with the planning and zoning? Where are our demographics?
Yes.
And when Parks Department does something, they may check with the council, but do they check with the Board of Ed, like with the fields?
Well, in the last field, they
Yeah.
never even sat with the Board of Education to discuss what's your situation, what are our resources? Are we going to be able to maintain these together? Or nobody even looked at that. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me sometimes how they're operating in these little vacuums.
Yes.
And rather than sitting at a table, bringing every person that has an interest to the table to come up with that holistic plan.
I agree.
So of what you both said, I just found it interesting. They, in both areas, completely different areas.
Yes.
No planning.
No planning.
No planning.
Well, that would be my focus for planning and zoning, is looking at a comprehensive 25-year, start with a 25-year plan.
Yeah, we had a plan of development at
yeah.
one point,
Yes.
and that has since lapsed, and we need another.
Yes.
We need another.
Not that it's within the purview of planning and zoning, but the budgeting that goes on. Now, I'm going to throw this over to the council candidates. The fields, we talked about that. One of the reasons we need new fields is because the fields we have are not being maintained.
They're some of the best fields we've ever had, Ken. That's what the mayor said.
They're not being maintained, okay? Pat Kidney Field, go take a look at it and tell me that's been maintained. Why is it not maintained? The money's not in the budget. So we're bonding, we're borrowing, how much do they want to borrow for these?
$33 million.
$33 million. We are bonding for road repairs. I would like to see the council get maintenance money in the budget every year. If we got parks, they need to be
Well, if
mowed, they
they're
need to
going to
be
do grass
seeded.
fields like we've now agreed to,
Yes.
if this passes, it passes in the format that we must do grass fields.
Yes.
Which,
Okay.
that's great, but that means more maintenance.
Yes.
That means more bodies, and nobody has, again, no planning, nobody has thought about that.
The turf fields require maintenance too.
But not as much.
Not mowers.
Right.
You gotta buy vacuum cleaners.
Yes.
Because you can't just put them things out there and leave them. They've gotta be maintained just like a grass
No
field.
plan for any maintenance.
No.
So that's what needs to be in every year's budget. I
Yes.
mean, think about it.
Yes.
To bring up the roads again, we're borrowing, millions of dollars every year to patch the roads. If that money was in the budget every year, we wouldn't be paying interest.
Correct.
The roads would be in better shape.
The bonding should be for major reconstruction.
Right.
Major
Not
reconstruction.
maintenance,
Right.
not maintenance,
Yeah,
yes.
And-
so that's,
And I'd like to add something to that, too. When we first started a few years ago, the mayor wanted shared services. And in some ways, that makes sense. Even regionalization is something we ought to really look at instead of duplicating services and spending money again. But something to think about, snow removal. We had schools that could not open
Yes.
because we didn't have parking lots.
Yep.
Right.
And the priority was the city streets.
Yes.
The school board, we have some way, but we don't have major equipment. That should be a shared service, where we should be able to speak as a Board of Education to Park and Rec and the city and say, okay, what are our resources? What's our priority
100%.
for the roads? And where do the schools fit into that priority?
And people need to remember that the physical structures belong to the city of Middletown.
Correct.
They are not owned by the Board of Education.
Right.
So, and Seb Giuliano, when he was mayor, focused on this. The Board of Education should be focusing on education.
Right.
You know, let the city focus on maintenance of their buildings and maintenance of the outside of those
Yes.
buildings and shared services. And let's come up with a better way to do things. But in 4 years, we haven't even had the discussions.
No, no.
So that's what's concerning about it to me.
Right, right.
All right, I'd like to ask both of you to finish up and tell us why we should vote for you come Tuesday. Ken, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Cheryl.
all right. As I said, I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 4 years, and I had other things to do in the last few years, but now I'm ready to go back. And if you get me on there, there will be a long-range plan 4 years from now. And there will be discussions between the Board of Ed and the Council on Planning and Zoning on zoning. You know, what types of zones do we want in the city? Where do we want the high-density housing? What can we do with open space? We've got a really good open space plan, and we need to keep moving on where we can do that, and making sure we have room to bring in the businesses to grow in the grand list. So, please, I'd appreciate your support.
Okay, Cheryl.
Well, what I bring to you as the voter is I've got 4 years' experience. I've kind of figured out how to read the budget. I've kind of figured out how to do the meetings. So it's a little bit of a bump that I've gotten over. So I can bring that in focus clearly, bring in Chris, bring in Troy, and we can focus on what we want to do as far as redistricting, as far as working on the transparency of our budget, and working on alternatives like vocational education. And I've got all kinds of ideas about that too. So I'd like to increase not only graduation rate, but what our kids walk away from when they graduate.
Excellent.
Anything last
No,
words?
I think it's terrific. I love having a husband-wife team on the ballot.
Yes, I do. All right, we're going to take a quick 1-minute break. And then when we come back, we'll have two more people coming on. It'll be Dave Graves and Nick Fizzino. So we'll be back in 1 minute. Thank you.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
Right, I think we're back. Yes, we're back. Welcome back. And again, just for those just tuning in, our number is 860-613-3031. You want to talk to myself, you want to talk to the future mayor of Middletown, Sandra Driscoll-Russo next, Russo-Driscoll, doggone it, I'll get that wrong all night. And then Sandra, geez, Mayor Sandra. And then to my right, we have Nick Fizzino, who's running for Common Council, and we have David Graves, who is running for
P&Z
P&Z and alternate, yes. So both of you, tell us why you're out here running, what you're running for. Tell us
Go
about
ahead,
yourself.
Nick.
Go ahead.
All right, my name's Nick Fizzino, running for Common Council, and I'm a lifelong resident of Middletown, born and raised here. My family's been raised here. Love Middletown. I mean, I started out in inland wetland, went to planning and zoning, was vice chair there, and now I want to take that experience forward to the Common Council. I think I learned a lot being in those two positions and gained a lot of experience, and I think I can add in the Common Council. My main goal is to the grand list. My biggest concern is the citizens of Middletown, the taxes involved, and it's been going nowhere but up, and we're not even holding a line on it anymore, and we're being lied to. Taxes have not gone down. Mayor's taking credit for taxes going down, which was a bit of a mill rate. And at the church there in Middlefield, he explained that it's very complicated, and I don't know what's complicated about it. Tax value houses go down, taxes should go down, but the mill rate went up, your taxes go up, and it's very simple math. That's one of my main concerns, and another main concern is transparency also in Common Council, and to bring my expertise from the past forward, and to work together with these guys in planning and zoning to grow the grand list. I think that's very important. We need to bring businesses into town, and I think I could help an awful lot with that.
David.
My name is David Greaves. I'm going for Planning and Zoning alternate, which is a little bit different than what Bill and Ken are doing as far as planning and zoning. I'm basically the substitute in case the major players can't get there. But as the delinquent tax collector for the town of Manchester, I totally understand and I get the need for the town to increase the tax base. When you increase the tax base, you're actually, in some cases, have the opportunity to lower the mill rate. When you have great plans and ideas, as several of the candidates have tonight, about improving the town as a whole, whether it be the riverfront or Main Street, you're adding value to those properties. When you add values to those properties, again, you have an opportunity to lower the mill rate. As Nick pointed out, we have a situation where over the last 4 years, the mill rate has increased by 6.5 mil. Now, I know a lot of people, a lot of friends and family, especially on the south side of town, saw significant raises in their taxes, as low as 300, as high as 600 annually. There were some people that said, well, my taxes went down $100. Well, no, your taxes really didn't go down $100. What happened is your property value went down. And why did your property value go down? And that's a serious question that residents should be asking our elected officials, because they shouldn't be going down. We should be a place where people want to go. Myself, I'm personally looking forward to this riverfront and having it grow. I live a block away from it, from where all the action's going to be. I know as things progress, as Ken pointed out, marina, apartments, this and that, it's only going to benefit me in the long run, because the property values are going to increase, people are going to want to be there, and it's going to be a win-win for everybody.
That's excellent.
Sandra.
All right, Nick, so in addition to that, talk about a little bit, I know you, Board of Education, and education is a little bit of a passion of yours. Talk a little bit about that.
I'm really concerned about our children getting the education that they need, and all schools being equal in ways of being funded, in ways of touching the child themselves. The money's not getting to the kids.
Exactly.
It's just not getting to them. It's being eaten up before it gets to them. And the child has to suffer, and the parents, meanwhile, try and do the best they can for their child. And we're not helping the situation whatsoever. And the administration is not transparent. They're not telling you the truth. And the administration of the Board of Ed is not being transparent with where the money's going. We need to think about our children, our future. If we don't, they're going to leave, and they're not going to come back to this town.
And tying it into, I know what you do in Manchester ties directly into here in Middletown with the tax base, David. So, after I'm elected, one of my main concerns is the values of the properties. Everyone said it was a market corrective, it was corrective of the market. And I just don't buy that, because it didn't happen that way in every municipality.
No.
It only happened that way in some municipalities, and it's because the municipality wasn't demanding the value of the house as other towns are. And that's concerning to me. I know we're not Glastonbury, I know we're not, Greenwich, I get that, but we should not have taken the hit we took, I don't feel. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I know myself, again, working in Manchester, we actually did a reevaluation 2 years prior to Middletown. And, I mean, regrettably, we saw an 11% increase of the mill rate. And that's huge. I had a personal experience with a taxpayer in which she came in crying because she was trying to sell her home. And she's like, "You've got to increase the value of my property." And it's like, well, no, we can't. And they said, "You don't understand. I'm trying to sell my house, and I can't even sell it now for a break even because the value is so low, the assessed value." And it hurts. It hurts people a lot. And to Nick's point, where the money goes, if we can actually increase our tax base, that's actually more money that we can invest in the kids, in the schools, in the programs, whether it's park and recs, whether it's aftercare programs, so many different things. I know, too, as far as, our delinquency rate in taxes, it's not the best. I know that myself personally, along with coworkers, in changes that we made in delinquencies over the last 3 months, and we've pulled in over $750,000 in taxes that were due the town. If Middletown did that, can you imagine what we could do with an extra, $750,000 for the kids, for the Main Street, for projects, instead of going back to the taxpayer and saying, "Hey, we need more money."
I think part of our problem is we don't make paying taxes very easy in Middletown. We don't even take credit cards or debit cards in the tax collector's office, which kind of boggles my mind. I've worked in the building 30 years. I've been gone for 2. I figured by now they would have had a system. I went in to pay my personal property tax for my business, and I brought my credit card, and they said, we don't take those. And I literally almost fell over, because how do you not do this in 2015? And how many people, I literally went to the bank, got the money, and came back and paid it. But how many people do that?
Right. Yeah.
Because if they don't pay it, they may forget to pay it, they become delinquent, and the cycle goes on. You have to make We have to make this so much easier for them.
The city of Middletown has a credit card. We bond all the time.
Yes, for sure. We have an unlimited credit card according to this mayor.
Yes.
That's a
one of our
very,
problems.
very
We
good
bond,
point.
We bond and we
Yep.
bond, and the burden's on the taxpayer.
Good tie-in there.
Yeah,
It's a good tie-in.
yeah, it's the city of Middletown American Express card. Not even
Well,
Mastercard.
that is a big problem.
And that goes along with the bonding we did last year. We took the premium and put it towards his budget, so that way, that's a
Well,
whole nother issue.
He took the premium,
Yes.
and technically, if you talk to the finance director, his advice was, spend it on other bonding issues,
Right.
or put it towards next year's bond payment, which is
Right.
$12.5 million.
Right.
And what we did was neither of those.
Right.
We put it into the general fund.
Yes.
And pretended that we raised the general funds up to 17 million, but then took it to offset the budget so he could have a zero increase budget in an election year.
Yes.
It's smoke and mirrors and shell games, and I hope the taxpayers pay attention.
And we got to pay for that next year. I mean, it's coming up, and this is the whole thing. We need a council, a Board of Ed, P&Z, and a mayor who can deal with this next 4 years going. And you're going to get the same smoke and mirrors that you got for the last 4 years if you continue to elect the same people. We need new blood. We need a new mayor. We need a new council. We need a new Board of Ed, and we need a new plan and zoning. So we can move forward, so we can plan for the future and also do things the right way, not the quick and easy way.
It's not a joke.
No, it is not a joke.
Well, and the other thing I keep reminding everyone is these are 4-year terms for the mayor and
Yes.
council now.
Yep.
And everyone needs to keep that in mind, because 2 years goes pretty quick. And if you're unhappy, you know that election's coming again. This is a 4-year term. So we have to make sure taxpayers and voters get that and pay attention to that.
No doubt about it.
Because that's going to make a big difference in this next go-round.
All right, well, I'd like to have you both finish up and tell people why to vote for you. I'll start with Nick, and then we'll work our way over to Dave, and then we'll come out with our next two people.
I'd like you to support my seat for common council for the simple reason, I'm going to be working, one of my reasons, I'm going to be working for you. I'm not working for myself, no ego. I'm not a politician. I'm an everyday person like the audience that's out there listening. I really care about you. I really care about Middletown. And being a small business owner in this town, I kind of know what's going on in the business world, and I can apply that to the office of common council, and hopefully bring businesses, draw businesses, and know what they need, and make this a better place for all of us to live. I just hope that you can support me and the Republican slate on November 3rd. Thank you.
As far as why you should elect me, as far as that is concerned, I know what I don't know. And this is my first time in, active politics. I did run for Board of Assessment Appeals 2 years ago. But, planning and zoning is a whole new field for me. It's one of the reasons why I'm not running for one of the active members, but the alternates. This is going to give me an opportunity to learn the basics, to learn the in-depth aspect of it before taking the plunge. And I think that anybody who does anything should actually learn how to, crawl before they walk and run. And this is a great opportunity, and I would consider it a great opportunity when I'm elected and win the position.
All right. Anything else, Sandra?
No, I think Dave brought up a good point, though. Land use boards are extremely important to the city of Middletown. Planning and zoning, inlands, wetlands, conservation commission, preservation board. I mean, we can go on. There's several. And I think that when you're elected to a position, if you don't have the experience, the mayor should offer and encourage strongly that people go and take classes and learn better how to manage on those boards. And that's something that we have not done in the last 4 years.
No.
And there have been some touchy situations. And land use boards are critical.
Yes,
They're
they are.
critical. So I like your point that you don't know what you don't know and you want to learn it.
Well,
And I think
Sandra,
that's a great point.
I can be honest with you that I'm on the design and review committee right now, through a little, coaxing and prodding from Molly. And, unfortunately, it was a situation where I thought getting on this committee, somebody would give me something to go by. And really, it's just, here's your seat, welcome.
Yep, and we'll fix that.
If it hasn't been, if it wasn't for Molly and another member, I'd be totally lost. But for
Exactly.
them, it's been a great asset.
It's a great point. You know, someone like Molly has the background and the experience, and we love candidates like her, but they're hard to come by.
Yes.
And when you can come with an everyday citizen who's just willing to serve on one of these, they can learn.
Right.
But you've got to help them get the tools to do
Yes.
it. And I know the Planning Conservation Development Office would be happy for people to go take classes if the mayor were to make sure and encourage it. And I know people like Molly, who knows her business on these boards and commissions, would welcome people getting the education. It's good for everybody.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that's been bothering me all the years, is to see appointments sometimes. And I'm okay if you don't have the experience, but offer the education to go get the
And
experience.
they haven't.
Well, we do have experience. We have street experience.
No, I'm talking about with specific land use boards, when you
Yes.
have to apply inland wetlands regulations
Yep.
and planning. Those are very specific things that you can be taught
Yep.
to apply well.
No doubt about it.
Common Council is more street smarts every day,
And,
sometimes.
one thing I got to say about our slate, like I said before, is we're human beings. We're not full-time politicians.
No.
And you're going to get the best out of us.
Yes.
Really, really in it.
Thank you
Great.
both for coming on, and we're going to go to a brief 1-minute commercial, and then Troy and Linda Salafi are going to be coming out here. They'll be next, so we'll be back in 1 minute.
Is that thing getting closer? Look how high that thing's going. Look out there, look at the debris. Give me the camera. No, just drive, I've got it. Zoom in, zoom in. I can't believe this is happening. Oh, the size of that thing. It's everywhere. Are you getting this? Yeah, I've got it. What was that? It's the National Guard. How'd they get here so fast? I don't know. Pull over. Pull over.
Do you have what it takes to head into the heart of the storm? Check out NationalGuard.com.
Hello, we're back. That was quick. I thought we were going to do 2, but that's okay. One's fine with me. I'm good with
We're
1.
good, we're good.
So again, we're back here with Sandra, the next mayor of Middletown. And I'm not going to mess everything up because I've done it 3
Just Mayor
times.
Sandra.
Just Sandra. Just Sandra. And to my right, we have Troy Meeker, who's running for Board of Education. And to his right, we have Linda Salafi, who is running for dual positions.
Right.
She's running for Common Council and also running for Board of Education. Welcome, both of you. And we'll start off with Troy. Why? Oh, yeah, Troy was like, he's excited.
Troy's like, oh,
Troy. So tell me why you're running.
So I'm running for the Board of Education because I am the next generation. I'm only 22, so when I see these kids going through the school system and not getting what they need to live fulfilling lives as adults in the city of Middletown, it makes me very sad. And it also, as the generation who's going to inherit all of the issues left behind, I find it very important that we get involved as early as possible so that we can minimize the damage being done, and that we can take some sort of responsibility for our futures.
Linda.
My turn. I'm running for both positions, actually, and a lot of it is that I was raised that if you see a problem, you need to step up and fix it, and I see lots of problems. So, and I have an opinion.
Okay, so let's talk Board of Education, since you're both running for that office, okay? So, Middletown Federation of Teachers had a forum. And the main thing I heard that night was how the money does not get to the classroom for the students, and how the teachers are spending. In September, one teacher told me she had already spent $1,200 of her own money. So I'd like you each to address that a little bit and talk to me about what you think about that whole situation and the budgeting and what we need to do.
I do know that they are changing their accounting system, and I think that's a step forward. That's going to be a slow process, and that's not going to solve all the issues. My opinion is that they should start from a zero budget and examine everything that they're spending their money on and justify it. Is it needed? What's the value? Is this really accomplishing something, or is this just a feel-good thing, a need or a feel-good? And I think that would go a long way towards seeing where their money is actually spent. And if it is getting down to the children, I think we're top-heavy. I understand logically the need for that, or I understand how you may think you need that, but you need the bottom. Nothing can stand without a good base, and you need a good base. And the teachers and the classroom are the good base.
Right.
And Linda touched on this, but if the money's not, well, you brought it up, that the teachers are spending money on supplies in September. So that tells us that the money isn't making it into the classrooms, and we aren't building the base that is so critical to our education system. And I think it's unacceptable that these teachers feel the need to, while it's great, and our teachers are so caring and generous for taking, their money and purchasing these supplies, the Board of Education should be purchasing all of that. Enrollment is gone down. It is projected to continue to go down, and our budget has only gone up, and we are spending more per pupil than we have in the past. And so the fact that a teacher told you she spent over $1,000 on school supplies in September makes me question where the money actually is in the system.
So what would each of you put, if you were on the Board of Education, as your number one priority? What would your focus be? Your number one focus, if you had to choose one, what would it be?
The budget.
Budget for you.
Redistricting.
Redistricting for you. So tell me why. A little bit about why that's different, for each of you.
We've been going back and forth with redistricting plans for 20 years. I know that because when I was at Moody School, when I was a kindergartner, we were having these issues. And that was, 17 years ago. And
You're so old.
and for some reason, we're still talking about it. So obviously, the boards we've had, and they've come and gone, and various redistricting plans have come and gone, and none of them are sustainable. I understand that we can only really project, the population growth out so many years, but if we keep having these issues, I think that there's a chronic problem in the system, and redistricting is my number one issue, because we shouldn't be breaking up our community schools or neighborhood schools, because I went to Moody School, I went to a community, neighborhood school, and it's very important that we put our neighborhood schools on a sustainable path to stay that way for the foreseeable future.
Okay, Linda?
I said the budget. I think that we need to revamp the budget. I think we need to examine every item in the budget and see where that money is going, plus the grants. We have really no idea, the public. There's no way you can tell what is coming in for grants and what is going out for grants. The council gets a list of every month and approves the grant, but you have no backup. It's just a formality that you approve those. I think we need to examine all of those and see exactly.
So you
where
brought the
money's going.
council, good tie-in.
Yes.
So you're also running for council. Okay, so tie that in now. How would you, on the council side?
I think the same thing. The budget needs to be examined. You need to start from zero and justify every line item and the increases or decreases and the need for it. We do a lot of things every 2 years because it's an election year.
Yes, we do.
This is going to be for 4 years, so we can actually plan out for 4 years what you plan to do. You don't have to have 1 year, a good year, and then the next year, because it's an election year. all
Worry
these
about
things.
playing with
Also,
the numbers to make it work for you.
We've had
Yes.
22 years of the same, the budget went down this year. Well, last year, the same council put it up. The year before, the council put that budget up. It's the same council that has been putting this budget for the last 22 years.
Years, yes.
Raising it. It needs to be changed. The council needs to be changed, the budget needs to be
And that's why when Troy came up and said 17 years, the last 17 years since he was in kindergarten, I'm thinking, yeah, the same Board of Ed has been run by the same group of individuals for 30 plus years. I can't remember exactly, but it's been over 30 years, well over 30 years. And things haven't changed. And you talked about teachers spending $1,200 in September. I know parents who have gotten stuff sent home. We need Kleenex boxes. We need this paper. We need this. And it's just like, wow. I mean, this is the first, we pay taxes, and yet we're been sent home all this stuff that we need in school, pens, papers, dry erasers, all this other stuff. So it is a real problem. And again, top heavy is the one thing that I think bothers me most about the Board of Ed. It's very top heavy, and it's not enough getting down to the students and to the teachers.
I don't think that the Board of Ed and the council need to be the cheerleaders for the administration. I think they need to take a hard stand sometimes and examine what is actually being presented to them instead of just, say, agreeing with it all the time. need to be the little voices that
To
say,
your
wait a
point
minute.
about the detail of the budget and the, starting at zero, every year, we have to give them the same amount that we gave them the prior year. And that's fine, that's the state law, we can't change that. But we need to take a much harder look at when we do decide to raise above that number, why we're raising above that number. And that's where what you're saying comes in to be critical. What are we spending it on? Where is it reaching? And this new software was $1.5 million was supposed to solve this problem, and we were supposed to be able to see the detail, and here we are going into November, and we were told it was going to be implemented when school began in August, and they're still having issues with it. And it's very concerning that you spent $1.5 million on anything, and there's, again, no accountability. I think accountability is a huge issue in the last 4 years of this administration. They are not held accountable, therefore they're not holding anyone accountable for the things that have been happening and the monies that are being spent. And the fact that when we spend this money, like the $15 million SOAR bond, like the $33 million parks, there's no justification, there's no accountability in the spending. And I know Seb Giuliano's here, so we might want to give him 5 minutes to talk about the bonding questions.
Yes, we will definitely will.
Because he's definitely the expert in that. So.
All right, so I'm going to give you both an easy way. Now you have to tell us why we should vote for you, why the public out there, why Middletown should vote for both of you. We'll start with Linda this time. Give Troy a break for a second because he got looked a little. So we'll go with Linda. We'll move to the left.
I've worked for the city for a long time. I've worked in Middletown for a long time. I am the anomaly. I was not born and raised here, but I'm older than everybody else, so I've been here longer. But I do have a lot of experience through my work and through the union, and I sat on the council before. So I think I do bring a sort of innate knowledge of the working system, I guess.
Troy.
I ask for your vote, and I also ask that you vote for my compatriots for the Board of Education, because we need a Republican majority on the Board of Education to stop this ridiculous redistricting plan. We cannot allow the administration to use our children in a social engineering plan to maybe prove ideas that members of the administration have, and I think that's absolutely wrong. And one of the only ways I can think of to stop what they're trying to do to our children is to elect a Republican majority to the Board of Education on November 3rd.
I agree. This is not a thesis, this is reality. So to remind people out there, this is not a thesis, but this is reality. And this is happening to our children here in Middletown, and we need to stop it. And the only way you can do it is vote row B come Tuesday. All right, we're going to go to another quick break, and then we're going to bring out former Mayor Seb Giuliano, and we'll have Sandra out here. We'll talk some more, and then we will finish up. But you guys will go ahead, and we're going to go to commercial now.
Everyone is a story. Everyone. He passed away last year. It was hard at first when I found out how sick he was. The doctor suggested hospice care at home. He came home, and that was wonderful. And the hospice helped a great deal. They were there whenever we needed them. They helped me take care of him. I didn't know. I didn't know where to start, what to do, what his needs were going to be. As the illness got worse and worse, they were there with help and suggestions and just how to do it, how to cope with it. They made his last months comfortable, pain-free, which was a blessing. We were able to find some joy till the very end.
All right, folks, just to remind you again, if you do want to call, and this is the last time we're going to say the number, 860-613-3031, you can call, but you definitely can go visit us on our webpage. Sandra, your webpage is alexsandra2015.com. You can also, there it is right there. You can go on Facebook, Alexsandra 2015. You can also go to Middletown GOP page, which is updated constantly by a young man named Troy, who's doing a good job, and we have other people out there, so we want you to come and see our stuff. Seb, take it away. Bonding man.
Bonding man.
Bonding man.
Well, first, I have a score to report. Middletown is leading at the half, 17-7 over Newington.
Yes.
That's where I was.
All right.
Bonding, obviously, there's two referendum questions that we have to be concerned with. One is to complete the pump station for the Mattabasset project.
Yes.
That is for $15 million. The one bid we got was $10 million over budget, and I think they've thrown another $5 million cushion on top of that, just in case they screw that one up. As bad as that sounds,
Yes.
there is no cheaper alternative.
No.
We need it.
So we
It's
really
that
need that
simple.
one.
We have to have
We're not
this.
happy about it. There's no accountability, but we need it.
That-
That's
that-
the bottom
But
line.
again, you're going to have to fix this when you get in, so.
That to me is the most,
And that's the point of hold somebody accountable.
Right.
right.
That's the only way
Exactly.
that's the only way this problem stops.
That's right.
I had to do that with the high school.
Yes, you did. Yep.
I had to get rid of the people that I think messed that project up.
And go back to bond.
And go back,
Yes.
and we had to go back out for more money, and we put people on the building committee that would get it done in a responsible
Right.
fashion,
Seb,
and that's the way you do
I'm
it.
concerned, because when you did that, that was the main focus. We have 2 bonding issues.
Right.
So let's talk about the other one.
The other is what they call the Parks Bond, which is actually, it's anything that you can possibly imagine
Yes.
in it. And there's no itemization. A lot of people look at these things, and they're being promised the world.
Yes.
And if you actually look at the language of the ordinance, these things are mentioned, but there's nothing that is earmarked to get them done.
Exactly.
So what will typically happen is the first couple of projects, they're saying the first thing will be Pat Kidney. Well, Pat Kidney is built on a landfill.
Right.
When you start digging in there, God knows the
What you're gonna
environmental
find.
problems
What
you're
you're
going to
gonna
find.
Yes.
And I could see a lot more money being spent on that project. So by the time you start getting down the list, you're going to find yourselves running out of money. And somebody is going to be disappointed. Somebody who's been promised something is not going to get anything.
Right.
And they know that this is going to happen. And they're not telling you that. And that's just unfair. I think we need to really look at these projects, price them out individually. And if you want to throw them all together in a big log roll bond, at least itemize the
it.
amounts.
Right.
Yes.
And say that this amount that is being set aside for Project A can't be transferred to pay for Project B.
Right.
Yes.
That makes sense.
You know,
though.
it would
So,
make a whole lot more sense.
As a
if we did
former
that.
mayor, let me ask you a question, because we were told repeatedly that this mayor was probably going to go bond the entire amount so he could get another big bond premium out of it. However, now we're hearing differently that, oh, well, we don't need to do it that way. We can bond in pieces, as you heard Jerry Daly say at the Westfield Residents Association. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, first off, when we sell a bond, the project has to be underway within 2 years.
Right.
Federal law prevents us from bonding and holding that money, doing nothing
Yes.
for a long time. So you've got to be within 2 years of actually starting the project. So whether or not you can do it is open to question. But you're exactly right. They've been living on bond premiums
Yes.
over
Yes.
the last couple of years.
Yes.
They take that and they're filling holes in the budget with it. We're going to have a $5 million hole in next year's budget
Yes.
because of doing that last year.
Right.
All of you realize spending went up by $5 million, but the tax rate was not increased.
Yes.
Well, where do you think the $5 million came from? The bond premium they got on the bond side. You're not going to have that next year. And I wouldn't put it past them to try and float a large bond to be able to get that. That's wrong for a couple of reasons. I mean, they're out also touting that we're borrowing money at 1.9%. The 1.9% amortizes the $5 million bond premium.
Right.
When you spent it this year, you're not getting 1.9%.
No.
We're paying the coupon rate on the bond, which is more like 4.5%.
Yes.
And that's what we have to budget every year in terms of an interest payment. We also have to budget a principal payment next year on the bonds we sold this past year.
Right.
That's going to be $3.3 million in principal that we didn't have last year. And I think we have 1.8 coming off. So it's about a $1.4, $1.5 million shortfall that's not going to
And that's not counting any other budgeting, which is going to come up from next
Well, we
year.
have a
That's a whole other
$12.5
thing.
million bond premium payment.
We have about
still
1
have to
minute
make.
left. I just got the 1 minute mark.
If debt service was a city department, it would be the third largest department in the city behind education. and police. The third biggest department would be paying bonds.
Paying bonds off.
Right.
And it is.
Those are the kinds of things that long-range planning is going to
That's right,
fix.
and that's what we're going to do.
And we're
Yeah.
going to do that.
And that's why I
Absolutely.
want to remind people again, vote row B Tuesday. If you want things to change, we need a new mayor, we need a new council, we need a new Board of Education, and we need a new planning and zoning. We need everything new so we can do what's right for Middletown and not what's right for our own political aspirations. Since we all live here in Middletown, we want to be here. I have no political aspirations. Sandra's biggest aspiration is to be mayor. She doesn't want to be a congressman or a senator, like someone else. So vote for us come Tuesday. Vote row B. God bless you, and please vote. Thank you.